folks, welcome back to another video. You join me at Tartareo again, a crag I was at the other day, for a video that I titled something along the lines of the complete guide to sling belay setups, something like that. Really good crag, pretty quiet. I've only done one day climbing here a couple of days ago, did this really cool 7B just along the way, so it's well worth coming to. I'd like to do some more here actually, but I am running out of time on this trip here in Spain. Time to go home sadly soon. The boy will be upset about that as well because he loves being here, just chilling out in the nice warm weather, not having to worry about rain and stuff like that. The video today is like the next step from that complete guide to sling belays. This one is about rope belays. Now, in a similar format to the other one, I'll show most of what I'll ever use. So when I say complete, you know, it's pretty thorough, but it's not going to be every possible rope belay you'll ever see. It's going to go through some fundamentals. It's worth bearing in mind with this one that rope belays, they might not be common where you live, right? Where I live, they are super common. It's the way we do things by norm. I always get comments when I do rope belays as to, you know, how they're sketchy, how they're impractical, etc, etc, etc. As much as I'd love to use a sling each and every belay and set up guide mode off it, it's just not actually possible all the time. Where I climb in the UK, our anchors are often meters apart and a long way back from the edge and stuff as well, so we can't do that all the time. There are negatives to rope belays. It is not the perfect one-size-fits-all situation in terms of belays. There isn't one, is there? That's, you know, we've got to appreciate that with climbing. The more we know, the better, right? And then we can just pick the right tool for the right job, a phrase you hear me saying a lot. As I do these things, I'll talk about particular pros and cons as I do them, but I've placed two bits of kit. As per the previous video, I'm not going to do 3 bits of kit, but I might mention them because otherwise it just takes too long, and you know I like to waffle anyway. The kit could be too far apart for slings. It could be, as someone commented on a video the other day, they were thankful for me showing them how to do something without slings because they'd forgotten to take their sort of belay kit of cordlette and stuff. I think they were from abroad. So it might be I've used this 240 on a previous belay and forgotten to take another 240 off my mate, so that's out. It could be that I carry 2, 3, 4 of these, but maybe I've used them as runners on a pitch, or I've equalised 2 bits of kit as a runner on a pitch, or again, perhaps I've just run out for whatever reason. I might have some of these 60cm ones, but my 2 bits of gear here, 60cm sling is no use to me in that sense, but I'm going to keep hold of it because it gives me some snap gates, so it's useful in that sense. The other bits I've got on my harness are exactly what I'd carry in terms of screw gates on a trad route. Okay, I'm going to use a snap gate on one of these bits of kit. Okay, I'll put this up here to start with, and then I've got this bit in as well. I'll put a screw gate on that one. I'll use screw gates if I've got them, because like, why not? I've carried them, may as well use them. And then I'm going to do one I've shown in a recent video, actually, out of reach anchors. This one works pretty much anywhere, whether you're on bolts, trad kit or whatever. I'm going to clip the bit of rope up to there. I'm still on belay at this point as I'm doing all this. Clip that in, can't do it up to the snap gate. I'm going to clip this one in. I'm going to do it up because it is a screw gate. And I'm going to come back and get myself a big HMS. This is a DMM boa. I'm going to clip that into my rope loop. I've done other videos on whether we should belay off our rope loop or belay loop and those kind of things, so I'll put a link up there for that one. Won't go into it now, but I'm going to, at this point, clove hitch into there. I'm going to clove hitch because it's adjustable and it's quick to do and it's quick to undo as well. I've put that carabiner, the gate facing the next knot as well, just to make it a little bit neater, so I've avoided any crosses, twists and tangles there. Snug that up, so I want to be tight on the first anchor, which is the one over my shoulder there. Clove hitch, quick to adjust, we like it. That anchor is now doing something, this one is not. So I'm going to do exactly the same again. The clove hitch, get any twists out of it, just for neatness' sake really, that's all that is. And put that in. Adjust it, get it nice and tight. Again, other videos on ideas, serene, that kind of stuff. Need to do that up. That's me done. When I'm building a belay, I can use those ideas or serene, but inherently I'm thinking, is it equalised? Yes, it is. Have I created an angle? Yes, I have. The angle here is, it's kind of, I don't know, 55-ish degrees, something like that, well under 90. Sometimes these angles come out a bit funny on videos. Trust me, it's well under 90. And they're independent. If this one explodes, there's no extension down here. I just sort of move on to that one a little bit. It's not going to be fun, but I've not shock loaded any bits of gear, okay? Like I said, I'm doing them off 2 for the sake of speed, but I might need to do it off 3. If I was to do it off 3, up, back, might not have enough space in that boa because I don't want to pull it 3 different ways, so I might have to do a figure of 8 there. I then get my belay device, and I clip that, tend to go into my rope loop. Like I said, I've mentioned that video previously as well. There we go. Load it up, job's a good one, get your mate climbing up to you. Works everywhere. Doesn't mean it's perfect, does it? It could use a lot of rope. You might have to use a lot of rope, that's life, but it uses a lot of rope. Now in the UK, we, in a personal climbing sense, nearly always swing lead, so we take it in turns to lead pitches. We don't really do much block leading. We don't have routes that really demand it because they're not long enough to demand it. If you were block leading and I wanted to lead the next pitch, obviously I'm all tied into the system, aren't I? So it's not going to be a slick and efficient changeover. My mate would have to come up and basically build their own belay underneath my rope to keep it all twist free and replicate this. So that might be the way to do it. It might be the only choice you've got, but it's not ideal, is it? There's going to be better options if that's your plan. But it works and the changeover is doable. Okay. As I'm belaying, I just break up behind me. Someone commented on a video the other day how if you're doing that, it's sketchy because you're just going to let go when you get pulled down. You don't. I've held hundreds of falls like that. People don't want to let go of the rope. You're going to hold on really tight. The weight goes partly onto me because I'm in the system, but it goes onto the rope loop as well. So I do some shock absorption. So that could be a good point as well. If my gear isn't brilliant, or perhaps I like winter climbing, I want to keep it on a rock focus, but let's just think that our gear isn't great, then I can do some shock absorption. I can be braced and take some of the weight and my anchors can take the rest. I don't want to build belays that need that protection, but climbing is climbing. Sometimes we don't get things quite as we want them, or maybe things have gone slightly wrong, we're off route, so you might need to protect it. It's a thought that's there. Not good for quick changeovers though. These could be 10 meters back, 1 meter back, whatever. This works, it's nice and adaptable. Next one is, I'm going to undo this bit, take that off to get it squared away, and I'm going to do something that we'd call an in-reach setup. So these are just about in reach here, and that's fine. I am going to clove hitch that one, get it adjusted so I'm snug on it, and I'm going to do the same with this one, but I must leave a little smile of rope there. Okay, undo that. I don't want tons, I don't want to waste rope, but there must be a bit of slack between them. Happy smile, as I like to think. Now, when I lean on this in a second, that one's doing nothing at the moment, is it? I left the HMS on there, so what I can do now, another clove hitch. We like clove hitches for this, as I've mentioned, quick and easy to do and quick and easy to adjust. In, done up, do a little bit of adjustment. Lean on that. We've always got to weight a belay when we're doing this kind of thing. We want to be snug on the belay so we're not shocking it if our mate does fall off and we're belaying off here. Belay, same as the other one, won't bother loading it up, not that kind of video. So if this was tight, it's going to pull the bits together and affect the angles and stuff, so we just need that little bit of slack so that's not affecting each other. Okay, angle's still good, it's about that, so well under 90. Equalised, yes. Independent, yes. Created an angle, yes. Great, we're winning. Good to go. I'm still part of the system, so this is still a faff for changeovers. It's going to have pretty similar pros and cons to the other one, isn't it? If I wanted to have a third bit of kit, in an ideal world I'd have one like just here perhaps, and I could clove hitch straight into that and get that snug as well, and a combining tactics, aren't I? So that's the thing with climbing, especially as soon as there's 3 anchors involved and maybe more, you've got to start to combine those tactics and evolve these setups, but these are like the basic building blocks, if you like. Really common to do this one. I like this one. Okay, first one was out of reach, this one's in reach because I can just about reach the clove hitches. Okay, right. Now these two were both belaying off my belay loop, what we would call an indirect belay, because they're kind of off me. right? As much as I'm showing rope belays here and saying we can't always do a direct belay using guide mode, that kind of thing, I can use the rope for that, and I will a lot of the time. It's flipping ace for it. Right, let's just take this one back a step, ditch that. I want to just give myself a little bit more slack in there. So we can adjust this clove hitch. I could retie it. Obviously you wouldn't change tactics midway through a pitch or something, so you're not going to do some adjustments quite like this, but with having the same effect. A clove hitch, but I've given myself a bigger smile of rope. I want to create a master point in this. I can do a figure of 8, do an overhand, you know, alpine butterfly, anything. Again, that is just a little bit under 90. I'm doing this because the angles can look funny on the screen, and as I say, people love to correct me on my angles, even though I'm pretty happy I'm doing good stuff. This is going to be master point. I'm still only on 1 though, right? So I could have a choice here. I could go into here. So I'm doing pretty much the same as on the last one. Okay, lean back, and then I can use this as the master point to put my belay on there, probably underneath. Okay, so just for the sake of doing it, I won't load it up again, but you get the full picture, I reckon. Make sure we put the gigajoule, my favourite device, into the correct bit. It's in manual mode. We put another carabiner in there. We're good to go. We can do our direct belaying. Brilliant. It could be that I'm using a lanyard, so I could actually treat that as a master point. It could be that I've left a lot more slack in here. I could use this and clove hitch into there. I don't just want to be on 1 though. I want to be on the whole belay. I've built a whole belay, so I want to make the most of the whole belay. But that's a nice way of doing it. So I'm in with the rope. I've used a direct belay. Easy for changeovers? No, it's not, is it? Again, either rebuilding or swapping ends of rope. I'm always a bit reluctant to start untying from ropes, you know, halfway up a route in case something goes wrong and they get dropped and stuff like that. And it's just one more step into stuff. But you could do it if you got a lanyard. It's certainly an option that I've seen done well, but it just requires a bit of thought. So that's a popular one for me, to use a bit of direct belay building. The next one, again, the second one for direct, is let's get rid of all of this for a moment. Start from scratch. And I've climbed up. This requires me kind of to be in a good happy spot, maybe on a ledge or something, because I'm going to have quite a lot of slack in here, and obviously any slack in here, if I fall off, I'm going back to that last runner plus a shed load of slack, which I'm not so keen on that. So I want to be in a pretty happy position for this one. Right, what we're going to do here is I'm going to put a loop up. Just clip it, free running, so a strand rather than a loop, sorry. Put a strand up. I'm going to do the same with this one. Just a strand into there. I've got some slack. I want a little bit more slack actually. There we go. I'm going to bring everything down now. I need to have all these strands coming back. If you think about it, how many strands are we going to want? 2 strands for this one, 2 strands for that one, 2 strands for me. So we must end up with 6 strands coming out the back of my hand. I'm just going to give myself a little bit more there actually. Give myself a decent angle, as I've already ranted about getting told off for doing bad angles before, even though they're all good. Probably an overhand for this one, just so many strands of rope that anything more than an overhand ends up with the biggest, bulkiest knot ever. Try and neaten it up. It's never going to be the easiest one to get super neat. There's a bit of crossing there, but I'm happy with that. Now, I'm slack on that. If I'm on a really good ledge, I might be okay with that. If I'm not okay with that, I can clip into 1 or 2 or all 3, whatever you want to do, make some judgments. I've now made myself safe on a clove hitch, so I can get myself a bit more snug actually, so I can weight it properly. There you go, I can be leaning on that. Always want something attached to each and every loop, okay? So it might be that it depends what you're doing afterwards. It just helps you decide how many you do, because if I belay on guide mode there, that's great. Bring my mate up to me, they can clip into a loop, can't they? Maybe they're leading again, because we've said this isn't ideal for block leading. But if they lead again, I take the guide plate off, and I'm left with quite a short loop, and I don't really like that because as things tighten up there is that slim chance of that working out there. So if this was the top of a route, maybe that'd be fine. If it was part way up a route, perhaps it would be better just to go into all three myself, okay, and then put my guide mode device on all three as well. Nice, neat, simple solution. That's pretty much it for the rope belays that I will ever use. Of course there's others. There's lots of different ways we do it in rigging in terms of setting up a top rope or setting up abseils and stuff like that as well. But as en route belays, it's going to be one of those four or a combination of a couple of methods. I've talked about slings in the previous video. Will I ever combine sling and rope? 100% I will. Especially like I say in the UK where we have lots of spread out anchors. I might have two nice close together ones, link them with a sling. I might have a third anchor off to the side that a sling is no good for. I use the rope for that one and then combine some tactics. That's the real key. Learn all these little individual building blocks, get out and practice them loads, and get out and practice them in a nice safe way, either on routes you're super happy and comfortable on, like super easy stuff, or even just coming to the bottom of crags like this and throwing some gear in and going, right, what would I do when I'm on a route? Because the skill is not so much learning the building blocks, although that's a necessity, it's working out which tactic to use when is it appropriate. And remembering what I've said, just because it's norm to do one thing your way in your area doesn't mean it's the only way. It might be the perfect way in your area, but not all areas are the same, different rock types and all sorts of stuff. The more we can know, the better, right? And then you can pick that best one for that situation. I hope that makes sense. I know there's a bit of ranting involved in that one, but I do get a lot of grief sometimes for doing something that's super safe and people assume I'm just making these things up and plucking them out of air. They're not made up and plucked out of the air. I've been a qualified instructor with the highest UK qualification for rock climbing for quite some time, and I've climbed for well over 20 years, and I keep up to date with continual professional development and stuff like this. So it can be a bit grinding, or grating is probably the better word, when people say what you're doing is sketchy, what you're doing this for, that for, etc. There's reasons for everything. That's the key. Know why you're doing what you're doing. Get out and practice, have some fun, and remember, climbing's the more important bit. You want to get this dialed so it's all just like second nature, bang, bang, bang. Then you get more time climbing on the rock, and that really is what it's all about. As always, fire those questions in the box below and I will answer as best I can. You know, I'm happy to help as always. Find us on Insta, find us on Facebook, use the buy me a coffee link, click the like button, smash the subscribe button. All the support massively appreciated. As always though, thanks very much for watching. More videos coming up very soon.